Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled 1995, the year college football lost its anchors. In 1995, the best team in college football history never existed, not because they lost, because Nebraska was erased before the season began. No Nebraska, no Notre Dame, and the sport didn't collapse. It merely drifted. The decision and what was removed. Before the season kicks off, 8 programs disappear, not punished, not sanctioned, just gone. These include the two pillars, Nebraska and Notre Dame, a couple stabilizers in Iowa and Ole Miss, and then some regional load-bearing teams such as Illinois, Washington State, Louisville, and Duke. Their head coaches, quarterbacks, and running backs are scattered across the sport, one per team, and only to programs that are either non-blue bloods or non-contenders the year before. No super teams were allowed. Then this was not about fairness. It's about what happens when the structures people rely on vanish. And there's many reasons why this is different. One, Nebraska didn't just win championships. It made rankings make sense. Notre Dame didn't just draw eyeballs, it made schedules matter. Remove both and the sport doesn't rebalance, it loses its reference points. And there's one group that benefits immediately, the media. And this introduces our villain, polls without anchors. With the old powers gone, polls don't disappear, they guess. Early rankings feel confident, but hollow. Everyone feels slightly overvalued. Every loss feels catastrophic. By week 3, the AP poll already looks wrong and everyone can feel it. Nobody says it out loud yet, but the season has stopped agreeing with itself. Early season and the false confidence that it brings. September looks normal on paper. UCLA takes off with Tommy Frazier. Kansas State feels disciplined near Tom Osborne's orbit. Florida State, who ends up moving to the SEC, survives the first month and gets praised for it. But none of it really feels inevitable. Every contender looks like they're borrowing legitimacy, not owning it. And by October, the sport stops pretending. And we get to the midseason fracture, which is where the season breaks. The SEC becomes a weekly battle, with Florida State, Tennessee, Alabama, Oklahoma all good but imperfect. The Big Ten looks powerful but disoriented, with no Iowa and no Illinois. There is no familiar middle. The Pac-10 can't keep anyone clean long enough to trust them, and the polls keep rearranging the same teams, hoping one of them feels real. None of them do. There is a little bit of early foreshadowing. There is one team not chasing the chaos. They're not flashy, they're not loud. They just don't break. We'll come back to them. But first, we transition to who falls out. By November, the question isn't who's the best team, it's who hasn't been exposed yet. UCLA collapses under expectation. Kansas State hits a ceiling. Penn State wins games but convinces no one. Every almost contender disappears the same way. They ask the season to validate them. It never does. And that takes us to Ohio State, the control group. Ohio State doesn't dominate, and that's why they survive. They don't chase the narrative. They don't try to replace Nebraska. They don't ask the polls for permission. They play clean. They leave weeks intact. In a season begging for a villain or a hero, Ohio State becomes something scarier. The control group. Bulls, where the sport tests itself. The Bulls aren't coronations, they're stress tests. Ohio State beats Oregon without drama. Michigan outlasts a worn-down Florida State. Alabama handles Penn State, and the legitimacy questions end immediately. No one dominates, but the pattern is clear. Structures beat chaos. And in this universe, there was a post-bowl title game with controversy included. This title game being Ohio State versus Alabama. Which wasn't just about talent. It was about whether order can survive pressure. Alabama scores first. Ohio State responds. Late in the fourth quarter, Alabama scores, then loses the touchdown on a controversial call. The stadium erupts. The internet, in its 1995 infancy, never agrees. Ohio State closes the game, not with dominance, but with refusal to lose. The, the result and the uneasy feeling. Ohio State wins the national title, yet it doesn't feel triumphant. It feels instructional. They didn't replace the anchors, they proved the sport could function without them. And that's the dangerous part. Because if this season felt legitimate to you, what does that say about what you actually value? Dominance or stability? Chaos or control? Because once fans accept this worked, they start asking what else was never necessary. So tell me, did Ohio State win because they were great or because they were the last team standing in a sport that lost its anchors and never put them back? And where did the season really break? And who benefited most from Nebraska and Notre Dame disappearing?